Hello and welcome to the Landsat 177, and December 14th is polling day for the 2022 general election, and today I have another candidate from National Federation Party sitting down with me to discuss her political aspirations. Lenora Qereqeretabua, candidate number 433. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Anish.
First question, why are you going another round to seek?
You know, nobody goes into an elections, Anish, I believe, to go and sit in the opposition. When we sat in the opposition for the last 4 years, our aim has always been to get into government, and that's why I'm doing this, and that's why all of us at NFP are determined to get into government after the 2022 elections, because there is a lot of unfinished business, a lot of promises that have been not fulfilled, that were made by the government right now, that need to be fulfilled for the benefit of everyone in Fiji, and that's why I am standing for another round of elections.
What are these unfinished business you speak about?
Unfinished business, like, you know, our environment. I just attended a lecture earlier today, a lecture by a Filipino gentleman who runs a not-for-profit, where what they do is they audit rubbish. So after a cleanup, they will audit the rubbish to see who the biggest corporate polluters are around the planet. And this is something that will take a lot of political will if we were to implement something like this in Fiji. I'm worried about our environment. I'm worried about our health system. You've heard Honorable Tikundundua talk about it in Parliament to no end. I'm worried about our education system and what kind of workforce we are going to have ready for Fiji in the next 15, 20, 50 years. There's a lot to be done.
Okay, so what are you hearing at campaigns? What are the people telling you?
Well, the best place to hear what people are thinking is when you get into a taxi. You get into a taxi, taxi drivers know everything. As soon as you get in, without prompting, they will just look in the mirror, look at me and say, "Madam, we really need change, Ray." You know, and that, I think, is the huge feeling from all walks of life in Fiji. People want change. They want to see what a new government is capable of doing. They are tired of the way this country has been run over the last 16 years, and I don't blame them. I think it is time for a change.
Do you see more and more people openly criticizing the current government and its policies?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's good. It is good. You know, we talk about the freedom of speech. Yes, some people do get taken in for saying certain things, so they move to social media. And social media has become a way of people voicing their dissent, voicing their discouragement, voicing their anger even at the current political status.
In Parliament, you got criticized a lot, and you seem unfazed by that criticism.
Well, I'm a big girl, you know. You know what you're going to go into Parliament to do. You're not there to pussyfoot around. There are issues that need to be talked about. It is unfortunate that many times things get personal, between the two sides of the House in Parliament. But that is what politics is like right now. I would love it to be more pleasant. I would love it to be, say, we bring up a motion and government would say, "That's a really good motion. Why not? Let's talk about it. Let's, put it to a committee. Let's talk about it. Let's consult the population," which hardly happens now. "And let's work together," which I thought was the whole reason we got into Parliament, so that we could work together as government and opposition sides of the House to make things better for Fiji. But, I am unfazed because that unfortunately is the nature of Parliament right now.
And was there a time one of those criticisms really hit you and you thought, "Oh my God"?
Oh, you mean criticisms within
Parliament?
Within Parliament? Oh gosh, seriously, I let it fly off like water off a ro-ro leaf. So things have something. Let's see. There was one government MP who was criticizing me, and this is just late this year. My brother and his family had come in. This was their first trip back to Fiji after the COVID lockdowns, and I could only spend one night with them on the coral in the Mamanuthas. So I spent a day with them in the Mamanuthas, saw them off, they went back to Auckland. And the next Parliament sitting, an MP from the other side, from the government side, goes, "And while they're hard at work, Honorable Qereqeretabua is relaxing at Treasure Island." I went, "Well, are we stooping that low now? It's my personal time. What's your bloody business?"
Okay. Your family support in your political career, how important that has been?
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't be in politics without the support, the implicit support of my parents, my husband, my daughter and her husband. Absolutely important. Because if you can't be flying alone, it's not a solo flight. You have to have the support of family. You have to know that when you get home, the dishes are done, that there's a meal cooked, or someone's going to iron your clothes, because you're just on the go a lot of the time. So I'm very, very grateful for the support of my parents and my husband and daughter and her husband.
Okay. Every time you stood up in Parliament to say something or criticize the Attorney General, did you think twice about it, or was it something that you had to do?
No, I think it had to be said. It had to be said. I wasn't voted in to go there and be the nice person. I think I was voted in there by the people who voted me in because they know that I am strong, I am vocal, and I will not be fazed by personal and petty attacks. So, and as the Attorney General or as anyone in government, that's my job as the opposition, to hold you accountable. And if that's just part of the job that we do as opposition.
Can you compare for me the leadership quality of your leader, Professor Bimal Prasad, and the leadership quality of the current Prime Minister?
Wow, I don't think there's any comparison, but since you asked, with Professor Biman, an intellectual, academic, an economist, but first and foremost, a loving husband, a loving father, and someone that everyone in the party and a lot of people around the country look up to for guidance in the National Federation Party and in the next government. Somebody who's very easy to talk to. He'll just, out of the blue, ring. My phone rings and I'll say, "Hi, leader. Hey, what you doing? Want to come over and have some lamb curry?" Or if I want to let off some steam, call him up. "Leader, I need to talk to you about something." Door is always open. I don't think I can say the same for our Prime Minister. My party leader certainly doesn't go around assaulting other members of Parliament.
Thank you very much. We'll continue the discussion after this short break.
We were around when the deed was first signed. We were around when the first car engine roared. We were around when the very first was crowned. Through devastations, jubilant celebrations, and the milestones. We will continue to be around to bring you all the stories first.
Welcome back, and Lenora Qereqeretabua from the National Federation Party. Let's talk about the threshold, the threshold for the elections. Everybody knows the election laws in Fiji. Party has to meet a certain threshold to get into Parliament. What are you hearing while you are out in campaign explaining this to the voters?
Well, Anish, you said everybody knows about the electoral law and the 5% threshold. I want to correct you. Very few people know about that. And everywhere I've gone during my campaign meetings, even just talking to somebody on the street, talking to taxi drivers, I ask them, "What do you know about the 5% threshold?" And I have never gotten an answer back. All I get is blank faces, and then I start explaining how important it is that the party that you wish to vote for, that you want to vote for, can get over that 5% threshold, because otherwise they don't make it into Parliament, and your vote is, I hate to say the word, wasted.
Okay, you have done some numbers, I believe, in this election. What a small party like like those in the Western Division should do if they want to meet the threshold?
Okay, maybe I should go back to the 2018 elections and just explain it there, because I think it makes people understand that 5% threshold better. So for the viewers, the 5% threshold, and I'm not saying this to put down any small party, this is just, as we all love to joke now, it's the fact of the matter. It is electoral law that unless a party can acquire 5% of all valid votes counted after a general election, that party cannot get a seat in Parliament. So what does that mean in terms of numbers? In 2018, that 5% of all valid votes counted was around 30,000 votes. That meant that in order for a party to get into Parliament, that party should have received more than 30,000 votes. And only 3 parties got more than 30,000 votes: Fiji First, SODELPA, and the National Federation Party. The National Federation Party got 33,515 votes, and we got 3 seats in Parliament. Now, bring that forward to 2022. I believe there are 693,000 plus voters registered to vote from Fiji and overseas on December the 14th, or before, with pre-polling. Now, just say 93,000 votes were invalid and only 600,000 votes were counted. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but 5% of 600,000, if we had 600,000 votes, is 34,500. What parties can get over the 34,500 or 5% threshold? And when I've explained that in the communities I've been to, you see the coin drop almost. You know, the people are like, really? And I asked them, no one's ever come to explain that to you? And they said, explain mami. And it's like that in all communities. It doesn't matter what ethnicity. It's been like that. And I think that's a real big failure in terms of information on the elections that we must correct before December the 14th.
Do you think political parties have an obligation to explain this?
Well, yes. If the political parties' main aim, and I believe it is our main aim, is to unseat the Fiji First government, then it is incumbent on us to explain this. Now, I know that this will not sit comfortably with new parties, what we like to call small parties, because there is a real danger that they may not reach the 5% threshold. But if our collective aim is to unseat the Fiji First government, then it is very important that all parties explain that.
Let's talk about women in politics. Are you seeing more and more women turn up at rallies, at campaigns, asking questions?
Yes, yes. You know, one of the things that I've noticed is, you know, the traditional way of doing campaign meetings is to have a nighttime campaign meeting, you know, with a bowl of grog and a group of mostly men sitting around. And I figured, hang on a minute, where are the women? So, you know, just a hint to all the other female candidates vying for the elections, target the women. What I've been doing is going out there and having morning teas, afternoon teas, just the women. The kids have gone to school, the men are doing whatever they're doing, and their younger kids are around, running around, so, you know, they know that they're in a safe place. We're just among women, bring some roti parcel, some bara, some, you know, fruit juice, cup of tea, and we can sit around for a couple of hours, and they ask very, very probing questions. You know, questions that perhaps during a nighttime meeting with more men than women, they might not feel comfortable in asking.
Okay. The saying goes, women make strong leaders. Do you see that in the country currently?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, women are leaders in their own homes, you know, single mums acting as the mums and the dads. You've got women who are chiefs of different confederacies, of villages. Yes, we've got women in boardrooms, we've got women in private sector, in public sector, our permanent secretaries, our ministers. So yes, women are very, very powerful.
What about a women prime minister for the country? Do you see that happening in some...
in my lifetime?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
On the path you are on, you may be one of them who may vie for that position?
Possible? Absolutely possible. Yes. But the first thing we need to do first is to get rid of this government. So
is that the high bar you are setting for your political life, to become the prospective prime minister of the country?
Yes, I will put myself forward as a prospective prime minister. But, you know, in a few years' time. I mean, I've only been in Parliament for 4 years. I have a lot to learn, and I have some great people to learn from in the National Federation Party.
Maybe in another 8 years' time?
Yes, how old will I be in 8 years' time? I'll be 62.
Okay. What if you don't make Parliament in this election?
No question. I am going to be in Parliament. I want to be on the government side, though.
Government side.
Yes.
And what about your message to women voters then for this election?
My message to women voters? I don't need to tell you to come out and vote, but I want to encourage you to vote for me. I'm going to be a shameless politician. Vote for me. I mean, you've seen what I've done in the last 4 years, and I believe what you want to see in Parliament in a woman representative is someone who is vocal, someone who is not frightened, someone who will do the work. And that's why I'm doing this again, because this time I want to sit in the government side. I want to be able to fulfill the promises that were made by this government in 2014, 2018, never fulfilled. People are still waiting for certain ministers to come and visit them again after they made promises in 2018 and never ever came back again. So yes, that is why I want to ask the ladies, make sure you do go and vote. It doesn't matter what the weather is. If your polling station is open, please go and vote. And please choose wisely. And I'd love for you to vote for me.
We'll take a short break on that note. See you on the other side.
We were around when the deed was first signed. We were around when the first car engine roared. We were around when the very first was crowned. Through devastations, jubilant celebrations, and the milestones. We will continue to be around to bring you all the stories first.
Welcome back, and Lenora Qereqeretabua from the National Federation Party. The question arises, what are your thoughts on the current political state of our country?
I'll start with Parliament. I think there could be a lot of improvement. Politics-wise, you know, it's sad, it's deplorable. I mean, I've mentioned it before in this interview. If a Prime Minister of a country can go up to an opposition MP and basically physically and verbally assault that person, what kind of leadership is that? What kind of leadership are we aspiring to? What kind of leadership are our young men and young women looking up to? You know, we need positive role models for our young people to help be shaped by. You know, things need to change, and absolutely things need to change, and they should change on December the 14th.
What are some values that you like about the country?
Oh, wow. Used to be my freedom of speech, but that is fast disappearing. That is why this government must go. But one thing I love about the country is our diversity. The fact that we're like a melting pot of so many ethnicities, so many histories, so many religions, so many traditions and cultures. That's what I love about Fiji, and I treasure forever about Fiji.
Social media, impact of social media. You use social media.
Yes,
how has social media impacted your campaign and your rise in the political arena?
Well, you know, a lot of the things I see on social media give rise to the things I cover in Parliament during my speeches, because people are using social media to complain about their conditions, to complain about issues in the environment, to complain about you know, healthcare, education. So social media has been very helpful for me. I take a lot of cues from what people are talking about what makes people angry, what makes people happy, and that is the basis of a lot of the stuff that I talk about in Parliament. In March 2020, there were 576,000 plus Facebook users in Fiji, and you know, before social media came on, where could we go and complain about the government, or where could we go? I think it was letters to the editor, perhaps, so if you had call-ins to the radio station. But social media has been very, very helpful. Yes, it can be very harmful, as we have seen, you know, with the trolling, with keyboard warriors hiding behind fake profiles just to run down this candidate or that candidate. But, and I'm not saying that that's correct when I say that that is a phenomenon that's happening right around the world. New Zealand recently reported this year, 2022, that there was a rise in the online bullying of their women MPs. So, you know, you can use social media for good, you can use social media for bad, you can use it to educate yourself, and I use it to educate myself. I use it to send positive vibes, and I also use it to encourage people to do things like just recently graduated from sign language, from a basic Fiji sign language, and I found that when I posted about it, a lot of people were very interested. So social media is great, but it just has to be used properly.
If I asked you if you could change some aspects of Fijian politics, what could those be?
The first thing that has to change is the government. From there, everything can change. The way they've used Standing Order 51 to rush through very important laws that really, by right, we should be widely consulted upon the people of Fiji, the people that these laws affect. But we're given 48 hours in Parliament, and if some of us don't understand the laws that we're voting on, how do we think our voters, the people who put us in Parliament, understand? So the first thing that has to happen is this government has to go.
And what issues do you think will decide the outcome of this election?
Oh gosh, there are so many issues. I think first and foremost is just the litany of broken promises that this government will leave behind, that the new government is going to have to come and fix. I've been in meetings around the Sowani area, Neitasiri area, where somebody said, so-and-so minister came and promised me that they would fix this after a landslide. I'm still waiting 4 years later. It's a lot of broken promises, I think, and also just the way that we've seen the psyche of us as voters, us as different ethnicities, the way that thinks that this is nasty streak, this nastiness that has crept into our psyche in the way that we communicate with each other, in the way we look at each other, and a lot of it you can see on social media. So, but I think that the issues that I feel that are going to decide the outcome of the elections is that people just want a new government. People want a new government. And people just really have to understand, one, the 5% threshold in order to make that change. Because yes, we all want change, but people may go out there and vote for a party that may not get over the 5% threshold, and therefore many people don't understand that, one, if the party that you vote for doesn't get the 5% threshold, doesn't get over the 5% threshold, they don't get into Parliament. What happens to your votes? Some people believe that, oh, if my party doesn't get into Parliament, my votes will be passed on to another party. No, this is a misconception that I've had to correct in every meeting that I've gone to. And the third is the fact that you can vote for anybody that you want to, that Fiji is one constituency. So the issues that will affect the outcome is just who's going to make Fiji the place that it should be? Who's going to bring back the smiles? Who's going to bring back the confidence in our economy? Who's going to keep the promises that they made in 2014 and 2018?
Finally, what's your message to Fijian voters?
Don't vote Fiji first.
Anything else apart from that?
Don't vote Fiji first.
There's a camera on you. I can give you the opportunity to give a message in sign language if you wish to.
Okay.
To Fijian voters.
I wasn't. Oh my gosh. Oh, I've forgotten how to sign vote. Oh, I can finger spell.
Yeah.
I can finger spell. Okay.
You can go ahead.
Right.
Candidate number 433, Lenora Qereqeretabua, thank you very much for speaking to me.
Thank you, Anish. Thank you.
That was the program for today. Join me again soon when another candidate from another party will be with me. See you soon.